All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane, and not many occasions left for us to come out here. Only 3 more times, and so for that reason, I've decided that for the rest of the remaining encounters, I'm gonna come out here and do these previews out here, just to get a smell of the air, taste of the air, just one more time before we rest after a long season, which is ending very well for us. If we don't play the way that we played against Chippa United, if that encounter doesn't go the way that it did, I'm predicting for an easier game for us. I think it's a run-of-the-mill win for us where, maybe we encounter a few problems, but overall we're the dominating team and we get the result. However, with the way things went against Chippa United, the war of words between the head coaches, the individual battles between Camis, and the rest of Orlando and the rest of Soweto, just the way that he sort of just swore at everyone, saying words that I cannot say on this show. I predict that it's gonna be more tight. It's gonna be more of a dogfight. I do predict that we're gonna get a set of bastards coming out here trying to stop us from getting that second spot. I think also just that added pressure of knowing as Orlando Pirates, I beg your pardon, that it's in our hands, and every game now, every game would have been already a cup final going into this one, but I think even more so, just with Stellenbosch being ahead of us, them having those 3 points in the bag and we having to hope that they slip up points. But yeah, just facing them with them having that advantage, so to speak, knowing that we can't do anything, I think it's setting up for an intense game for us. I think the crowd, I know the Pirates crowd, we get a bit intense. When expectations are up, when we know that it's do or die, we get a bit intense, and sometimes we don't manage games very well, except when we are up front, it's 2-0 and we know that the game is over. That's when you get the best crowd. But these ones can get very toxic very fast. So for example, if the game starts and we're not scoring, and maybe we concede a goal, someone's not playing well, Dion Hotter knows that very well. Not to sort of single him out, but I just remember a time last season when he wasn't playing well for Orlando Pirates, and the fans can quickly turn on you, and I think that's the sort of thing that's sort of hanging above the players, is that the crowd can quickly turn, and so it can create an atmosphere which is very tense. But yeah, I do predict, just maybe going into the game, I do predict that we obviously know they'll be missing a few players coming into this one. Evanga, who was massive for them, is not going to be in this one. He's not going to be playing. He's got obviously a red card. He'll be missing this one. Craig Martin is another one who'll be missing this one. So they do have to, change personnel. And I think especially Evanga is going to be a huge miss for them, because in that game, particularly in the semi-final that we played against them in the Nedbank Cup, he was sort of the center of their game plan. They hoofed everything to him, holding it up for them, creating every bit of thing that they created was through him, fighting for scraps, bullying the center backs, that sort of thing. It was all upon Evanga, whom, he carried it with so much grace, Evanga, something we've not come to know of him. And so I think he's going to be a huge miss for them. They're going to be missing Craig Martin, who I think it'll be easier for a replace. They've got people like Mahlatsi and, Kwabai, who are playing out there for them. They'll be playing with Kongobe as a number 10. I think Goodman Musele will be coming back. I don't know why he missed that one. I'm not sure if he was cup-tied. Sorry, not cup-tied, but, playing for Orlando Pirates, being an Orlando Pirates player, I think he might be not allowed to play against his parent club in cup competitions. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure. If someone has information on that, maybe they can put it in the comment section to let everyone know why Goodman Musele missed that one. But I remember that he played against us in the reverse fixture in the league, so he might be playing. If he's not suspended or injured, I think he might be playing in midfield. He's massive for them, especially in midfield this season. So I see, him playing alongside someone like Bogenpoel in the middle of the field, or Majogoro, who I think was also suspended for the last game. He might be coming back for this one. Camis will be, I think they'll have to spare him, because really it's embarrassing the way that he played against us and just how Relebohile Mfukeng was having a field day against him. I think they might have to spare him, but with expectations not as high in this game for both teams, especially Chippa United. We obviously have something to play for. That CAF
second place in the Champions League, we have something to play for, and so it is a bit more and there's an expectation for us there. But I think for them it's more of a relaxed fixture. I think the motivation is just to spoil the party for Orlando Pirates. So maybe they won't spare Camis for that reason. So obviously they'll be playing with him. Chabalala at centre back will be there. He's another one who had a stinker against us. I think he'll want to be switched on for this one. At left back, they've got Modise who's playing there, and obviously Nwabali as the goalkeeper. I think that's how they'll be lining up. It's interesting to see how we will be going for this one, because I do want to make this point, and please bear with me because it's something that I'm trying to figure out as I'm saying it. It's something that just sort of sparked in my mind going into this one, trying to figure out who plays for us, especially in the midfield, right wing, that thing. Okay, so maybe starting in the midfield, I think there's a conversation to be had whether or not Tim starts ahead of someone who's playing great for us, Talente Mbata in that midfield. So I made the point in the review of, in the reaction of the semi-final, that I think Jose Rivero pulls Talente Mbata in the second half to play Tim, because the game was needing for, well, first of all, Talente Mbata had a yellow card, so maybe for that reason he spares him so that he's not suspended. But I think the other reason is that the game needed a bit more temporization. I think we needed someone to come on and dictate the tempo of the game. It was a bit frantic, it was a bit of a chaos, and it was playing into the hands of Chippa United, I beg your pardon, when that chaos was sort of ensuing. They loved it that way because it was too fast. We couldn't get our best players on the ball. Someone like Maswanganyi couldn't get on the ball. Dlamini couldn't hurt them. I know he's got the free kick and the goal, but really we weren't imposing our own game. We weren't fluid. We weren't seeing those patterns that we usually see when Orlando Pirates is at its latter fluid best, the way that we've seen in sort of the last 10 games how I've been playing. I think we weren't playing that kind of football except in sort of patches. It was too fast for our good ball players to get on the ball and influence proceedings. And so for that reason, I think he pulls Talente Mbata and he puts on Miguel Tim, who comes on and he dictates the game. He sort of runs the show, and for a good 20 minutes before I think they get their goal, we are controlling the game, we are dominating, and we've got possession. Sometimes Tim, instead of playing the forward pass, will recycle things and force them to sort of come out and then go again. And you obviously see Mufokeng start to shine again like he did in the opening of that game. You see Maswanganyi start to do his thing, and you see Dlamini also start to show his quality on the ball. And so for that reason, I think the coach is going to have to think about who he wants to play in this game. Does he want to play with Miguel Tim so that we dominate a bit more? Because I think in dominating, again, it started to open those spaces for Maswanganyi, Dlamini, and those guys, and Mufokeng. And so obviously the conversation has to be had there. Do we play Talente Mbata? Is it a thing of maybe talking to Talente, sort of showing him footage of how Tim came on and he sort of slowed that game down when it needed to be slowed down, picking up the pace when needed to? Because I do think that there's a sense in which Talente brings us something we don't have in that midfield. That is especially that he receives very well, and in receiving, he's able to break lines through receiving and turning and eliminating man. He's someone who can drive with that ball into space. So he's someone who, after receiving the ball, turning, he can drive into a bit of green grass, getting the team upfield that way, which is something I think in the midfield we don't have so much. I think someone who can give us that sort of thing, sort of going into the future, is Karim Kimvwidi, but obviously he plays still higher up the field. I think he's not yet trusted in those double pivot positions. So Talente gives us something different in that midfield, in that he can break lines for us with just his drive, and so there's a conversation to be had there. I think I'm not someone who's going to say right now in this moment that I think Talente should play or I think Tim should play. If I could give you those solutions, I'd probably be working here on Wednesday evening and every other game for Orlando Pirates. But just sort of thinking about it, I think that it's a conversation to be had. Maybe it's a case of showing Talente, a bit of footage of, hey, in some moments when the game is kind of going like this. I think Talente, by the way, just to kind of talk about him a little bit, is that he's someone who might still have to learn the game. He's not massively experienced in this league. He obviously played for SuperSport United, but wasn't playing as much. He's still got age on his side. So he's still going to learn the game a bit more, especially in the center of the park for a huge club like Orlando Pirates. There are some things that he'll need to manage a bit more. The talent is there, no pun intended. And I hope it's there come next season. It's there in our squad. I think, he's got to
maybe manage it a bit more, those big occasions. I think it was too frantic for us. We couldn't sort of lay a glove on Chippa United in that game because it was just too quick. And so the other conversation to be had again is, as much as, listen, and again, I hope you bear with me with this point because it might be one that might upset you. But the point is that, yes, Kabelo Dlamini, was the best player for us. And I think he's one of the best players for us at the moment, playing for us. Apart from the goals that he takes very well, I don't think he played the best game in that particular game. So just on the ball, sort of affecting the game. He obviously affects the game, and I know it's crazy for me to say he didn't affect the game when he scored 2 goals that made us to win that game. I think in patches, yes, you do see his quality, but I don't think he sort of ran proceedings in that game like we've seen him do, like how he can do. I think what we are raving about so much about Kabelo Dlamini latterly, which I think his game hasn't sort of changed at all. He's still playing the same football that he was playing. He's just getting the numbers now. And that has always been that cloud hanging over Kabelo Dlamini, is that he has no end product. And so when he scores the goal, that's when he gets the man of the match. But I don't think when we played against Chippa United, his sort of on the ball contribution and affecting and impacting the game was that much. I think overall as a team, we didn't play that great. Yes, we go on to win the game, and I love that when we're not playing our fluid best and we go on to win the match. We obviously saw that we scored via set piece. The second goal came through a howler from the defender, and great positioning by Dlamini in the box to then find the bottom of the net that way. But I do think that he can be more effective of the game, just coming on and running the game a bit more. And so it's another conversation to be had there, whether to still play Dlamini or to play Saleng in this one. And again, I'm not going to come out swinging and say who should play. I think the head coach will make the right decision. However, I do think it's a conversation worth having. Do we play Dlamini there? I mean, we're missing the width. That's something that I saw in that particular game against Chippa United, is that we had no width, especially on the right. I think Thabiso Munyane is someone who can do that for us. But it's not just about having the width, having the option. I do think it's also about affecting when you have the ball on the width. So Saleng, when he's giving us that width, is that that he will give us those take-ons, he'll give us those crosses into the box, and maybe even taking a shot. And that's something that we love Thabiso Lebizo for. So it's not just only about being able to overlap, but it's also that when you receive the ball, can you give us those cutbacks? Thabiso Munyane is someone who likes to shoot. We saw it again, much late in that game, and someone might say, hey, we're 3-1 up, don't murder Thabiso Munyane for that. But he's someone whom, as soon as he gets the ball on that right wing, when he's giving us that width, he will not give us, an end product in terms of crosses and sort of cutbacks and that sort of thing. He'll sometimes just want to go for goal, which I think we could be doing a lot better if we had more end product on that right side as well. And so, again, the conversation to be had is, do you play with Thabiso that side? Is he going to be a threat for us? As soon as we stretch them going that way, is he going to bring in something with quality so that we can score? Or is it just about him giving us that width in terms of stretching the field, but really no end product? So again, guys, it's a conversation to be had. I'm not coming out swinging again and saying what should happen, but I do think that those things are going to be worth thinking about, especially with, I think a different Chippa United that will come to Orlando Stadium. I think they'll be more organized. I think they'll be more conservative. I think they'll be more reserved. And so the approach to this game might have to change and not be exactly like we saw in that game, especially because even Evanga is going to be missing for them. Maybe they'll try to be a more on-the-ball team and try to play a bit more. Anyway, I'm going to leave this conversation here before I go on for too long. There's a lot to be said about Chippa United. I'm still going to do another preview, which will make it 4 episodes in a row about Chippa United. But for now, let me leave it here. Up the Mighty Bucks. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video from Talking Buccaneers. If you did, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all our future content.